Okay, so here we are, day 2, reading the Bible from Genesis to Revelations. It's Kerlyn and myself, Paolo. We finished the Genesis chapter 1 to 5 and day 1. Today we're going to read chapter 6 to, we'll see. But from reading the from reading what we read in day 1, we had some questions that we have the answers to now, I think. Right, babe? Some of the questions, one of the questions was, who is Cain's wife? Who's Cain's wife? In chapter...
Well, it's like it happened many years later, so it's not like it was something that, because we were thinking like, oh, there was no other people in the planet at that time, so who could have been his wife? But that would have been like many years later when everything's like more populated, so we don't really know who his wife was, but we know that there were people.
Yeah, so there had to have been a woman that Cain made to be his wife, but we don't know who it is. Um, it didn't have a name, right?
No, there's no name.
Okay, so the next question is, why was Enoch, son of Jared, shown in chapter 5, risen? There's no explanation why Enoch was risen. In chapter 5, it says that he was walking with God for a certain amount of years and that he was risen. And never again was he talked about in the Bible, throughout the Bible. Yeah. And in chapter 3, there was something about the curse of the snake. What's the meaning of that?
One part that we read, where was that? Oh, it said, he will strike your head and you will strike his heel. So that was a prophecy that is something still yet to happen, but it's basically so he will strike his head, and no, sorry, what was it? He will strike your head and you will strike his heel. So it's basically what's yet to come, where God defeats the devil, Satan.
Or Jesus?
That's still yet to come, though. Whatever, when like Satan is defeated.
Oh yeah? I thought it was when Jesus and the devil had that thing going on, and then when Jesus was resurrected, that's when pretty much stomped on his head, saying that like I was resurrected. So like when Jesus was being crucified, the devil thought that he was winning. But then when Jesus resurrected, Jesus won. I can't remember exactly what the explanation was, but I think that's what it was, no?
Okay.
We can look it up quickly right now. What's the thing? Jesus Christ defeats Okay, so I can't remember exactly what it means, but I guess we can share that in the next video. We'll learn more about it. And we'll share that in the next video. Okay, let's go ahead and read chapter 6 to 11, let's say, I think. Try to do 12 maybe. Chapter 6 to 12. In case y'all didn't know, Kerlyn is pregnant. 3 months pregnant. And we're hoping that it's a boy. Pray that it's a boy. And his name is Matias. Do you want to start first today?
Sure. Okay, Genesis chapter 6, a world gone wrong. Then the people began to multiply on the earth, and daughters were born to them. The sons of God saw the beautiful woman and looked and took any they wanted as their wives. And the Lord said, My spirit will not put up with humans for such a long time, for they are only mortal flesh. In the future, their normal lifespan will be no longer than 120 years. In those days, and for some time after, giants, Nephilites?
I don't see that.
Giant Nephilites lived on the earth for whenever the sons of God had intercourse with women. They gave birth to children who became the heroes of famous warriors of ancient times. The Lord God observed the extent of human wickedness on the earth, and he saw that everything they thought or imagined was consistently and totally evil. So the Lord was sorry he had ever made them and put them on the earth. It broke his heart. And the Lord said, I will wipe this human race I have created from the face of the earth. Yes, and I will destroy every living thing. All the people, the large animals, the small animals that scurry along the ground, and even the birds of the sky. I am sorry I ever made them. But Noah found favor with the Lord. The story of Noah. This is the account of Noah and his family. Noah was a righteous man. The only blameless person living on the earth at the time. And he walked in close fellowship with God. Noah was the father of 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Now God saw that the earth had become corrupt and was filled with violence. God observed all this corruption in the world, for everyone on earth was corrupt. So God said to Noah, I have decided to destroy all living creatures, for they have filled earth with violence. Yes, I will wipe them all out along with the earth. Build a large boat from cypress wood and waterproof it with tar inside and out. Then construct decks and stalls throughout its interior. Make the boat 450 feet long, 75 feet wide, and 45 feet high. Leave an 18-inch opening below the roof all the way around the boat. Put the door on the side and build 3 decks inside the boat, lower, middle, and upper. Look, I am about to cover the earth with a flood that will destroy every living thing that breathes. Everything on earth will die, but I will confirm my covenant with you. So enter the boat, you, your wife, and your sons and their wives. Bring a pair of every kind of animal, a male and female, into the boat with you to keep them alive during the flood. Pairs of every kind of bird and every kind of animal and every kind of small animal that scurries along the ground will come to you to be kept alive. And be sure to take on board enough food for your family and for all the animals. Noah did everything exactly as God had commanded him.
The great flood. Then the Lord said to Noah, Come into the ark, you and all your household, because I have seen that you are righteous before me in this generation. You shall take with you 7 each of every clean animal, a male and his female, 2 each of animals that are unclean, a male and his female. Also 7 each of birds of the air, male and female, to keep the species alive on the face of all the earth. For after 7 more days, I will cause it to rain on the earth 40 days and 40 nights, and I will destroy from the face of the earth all living things that I have made. And Noah did according to all that the Lord commanded him. Noah was 600 years old when he flooded waters were on the earth. When the flooded waters were on the earth. So Noah with his sons, his wife, and his sons' wives went into the ark because of the waters of the flood, of clean animals, of animals that are unclean, of birds, and of everything that creeps on the earth. What does it say in the New International? Is it New International? New Living Translation about the unclean and clean.
What day is that?
Verse 8.
With them were all various kinds of animals, those approved for eating, and those for sacrifice, and those that were not.
Oh.
So those that we could eat, and those that we couldn't eat.
Okay, so clean and unclean. Clean is probably the one you can eat.
Yes.
And the unclean is the one you sacrifice?
No.
The clean is first.
Clean is the ones that you could eat and you could sacrifice.
Okay.
Unclean is ones that you were prohibited from eating.
Oh.
Like,
okay.
I don't know which ones they were, but
yeah.
there was ones that you couldn't eat at all. Like, you couldn't have pork and, like, whatever.
2 by 2, they went into the ark to Noah, male and females, as God has commanded Noah. And it came to pass after 7 days that the waters of the flood were on the earth. In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd month, the 17th day of the month, on that day all the fountains of the great deep were broken up, and the windows of heaven were opened. And the rain was on the earth 40 days and 40 nights. On the very same day Noah and Noah's sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and Noah's wife, and the 3 wives of his sons with them, entered the ark, they and every beast after its kind, all cattle after their kind, every creeping thing that creeps on the earth after its kind, and every bird after its kind, every bird of every sort. And they went into the ark of Noah, 2 by 2, of all flesh, in which is the breath of life. So those that entered, male and female, of all flesh, went in as God has commanded him. And the Lord shut him in. Now the Lord shut him in. So nobody shut the door. It was God that shut the door.
And the Lord closed the door behind them.
You know, in the movie Noah, I think it was Noah. I think Noah shut the door.
Oh yeah.
Huh. Where was I? And shut him in. Now the flood was on the earth 40 days. The waters increased and lifted up the ark, and it rose high above the earth. The waters prevailed and greatly increased on the earth, and the ark moved about on the surface of the waters. And the waters prevailed exceedingly on the earth, and all the high hills under the whole heaven were covered. The waters prevailed 15 cubits upward, and the mountains were covered. What are cubits?
It's a measurement. Here it says rising more than 22 feet, which is 15 cubits. 6.9 meters.
And the mountains were covered. And all flesh died that moved on the earth, birds and cattle and beasts and every creeping thing that creeps on the earth, and every man. All in whose nostrils was the breath of the spirit of life, all in that was on the dry land died. So he destroyed all living things which were on the face of the ground, both men and cattle, creeping thing and bird of the air. They were destroyed from the earth. Only Noah and those who were in the ark remained alive, and the waters prevailed on the earth 150 days, 40 days and 40 nights, and the waters prevailed on the earth 150 days. I don't understand that.
So it rained for 40 days and 40 nights.
Oh,
And then until the waters, like, here it
So
says, and the
it
flood
rained.
waters covered the earth for 150 days.
so it rained 40 days and 40 nights,
Yeah.
but the earth was flooded for 150 days. 150 days. Alright.
The flood recedes.
Chapter 8.
But God remembered Noah and all the wild animals and livestock with them in the boat. He sent a wind to blow across the earth, and the flood waters began to recede. The underground waters stopped flowing, and the torrential rains from the sky were stopped. So the flood waters gradually receded from the earth. After 150 days, exactly 5 months from the time the flood began, the boat came to rest on the mountains of Ararat. 2.5 months later, as the waters continued to go down, other mountain peaks became visible. After another 40 days, Noah opened the window he had made in the boat and released a raven. The bird flew back and forth until the flood waters on the earth had dried up. He also released a dove to see if the water had receded and it could find dry ground. But the dove could find no place to land because the water still covered the ground. So it returned to the boat, and Noah held out his hand and drew the dove back inside. After waiting another 7 days, Noah released the dove again. This time, the dove returned to him in the evening with a fresh olive leaf in his beak. Then Noah knew that the flood waters were almost gone. He waited another 7 days and then released the dove again. This time, it did not come back. Noah was 601 years old. On the first day of the new year, 10.5 months after the flood began, the flood waters had almost dried up from the earth. Noah lifted back the covering of the boat and saw that the surface of the ground was drying. 2 more months went by, and at last the earth was dry. Then God said to Noah, "Leave the boat, all of you, you and your wife, and your son and their wives. Release all the animals, the birds, the livestock, and the small animals that scurry along the ground, so they can be fruitful and multiply throughout the earth." So Noah, his wife, and his sons and their wives left the boat, and all of the large and small animals and birds came out of the boat pair by pair. Then Noah built an altar to the Lord, and there he sacrificed as burnt offerings the animals and birds that had been approved for that purpose. And the Lord was pleased with the aroma of the sacrifice and said to himself, "I will never again curse the ground because of the human race, even though everything they think or imagine is bent towards evil from childhood. I will never again destroy all living things. As long as the earth remains, there will be planting and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night."
Yo, what happened to the raven?
The bird flew back and forth until the flood waters on the earth had dried up. So he never came back, he just kept flying.
Yeah. So it didn't work.
The bird flew back and forth until the flood waters on the earth had dried up.
Doesn't really say. I guess it just means that it didn't work.
What didn't work?
So the raven, the point of sending out the birds was so that Noah can find out if there was dry land or not.
Okay.
The raven just kept flying back and forth until the land dried up. He never really came back to tell Noah. But the dove did.
Well, I think it's because the dove has to find. I guess like that's just a difference of the birds. Like we should find out what the difference of the birds are. The dove needs to land, like or maybe the raven can stay up high. I don't know.
Yeah, that's why.
Okay, chapter 9.
So God blessed Noah and his sons and said to them, "Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth. And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be on every beast of the earth, and every bird of the air, and all that move on the earth, and on all the fish of the sea. They are given into your hand. Every moving thing that lives shall be for food for you. I have given you all things, even as the green herbs. But you shall not eat flesh with its life, that is, its blood. Surely for your lifeblood I will demand reckoning from the hand of every beast that will require it, and from the hand of man, from the hand of every man's brother, I will require the life of man. Whoever sheds man's blood, by man his blood shall be shed. For in the image of God he made man. And as for you, be fruitful and multiply, bring forth abundantly in the earth and multiply in it." Then God spoke to Noah and to his sons with him, saying, "And as for me, behold, I establish my covenant with you and with your descendants after you, and with every living creature that is with you, the birds, the cattle, and every beast on the earth with you, of all that go out of the ark, every beast of the earth. Thus I establish my covenant with you. Never again shall all flesh be cut off by the waters of flood. Never again shall there be a flood to destroy the earth." And God said, "This is the sign of the covenant which I make between me and you and every living creature that is with you for perpetual generations. Perpetual generations. I set my rainbow in the cloud, and it shall be for the sign of the covenant between me and the earth. It shall be when I bring cloud over the earth, that rainbow shall be seen in the cloud. And I will remember my covenant which is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh. The water shall never again become a flood to destroy all flesh. The rainbow shall be in the cloud, and I will look on it to remember the everlasting covenant between God and every living creature of all the flesh that is on the earth." And God said to Noah, "This is the sign of the covenant which I have established between me and all flesh that is on the earth." Now the sons of Noah who went out of the ark were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And Ham was the father of Canaan. These three were sons of Noah, and from these the whole earth was populated. And Noah began to be a farmer, and he planted a vineyard. Then he drank of the wine and was drunk and became uncovered in his tent. And Ham And the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father and told his brothers outside. But Shem and Japheth took a garment, laid it on both their shoulders, and went backward and covered the nakedness of their father. Their faces were turned away, and they did not see their father's nakedness. So Noah awoke from his wine and knew what his younger son had done to him. Then he said, Cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants, he shall be to his brethren. And he said, Blessed be the Lord, the God of Shem, and may Canaan be his servant. May God enlarge Japheth, and may he dwell in the tents of Shem, and may Canaan be his servant. And Noah lived after the flood 350 years. So all of the days of Noah were 950 years, and he died. What happened there?
Noah got drunk. And then he was naked. And then Ham, instead of covering up for his father, he went and told his brothers. Instead of just, like discreetly covering him up, whatever. So he went and told his brothers, and then his brothers went and covered him up, like they respected him, And then after, you've never heard of this before? I heard of this, I just didn't know it was Noah. I thought it was someone else. And then,
why does Canaan get,
I don't know.
So Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father and told his two brothers outside. But Shem and Japheth took a garment, laid it on both their shoulders, and went backward and covered. Oh, so they didn't look at him.
No, but Ham did.
Their faces were turned away and did not see their father's nakedness. So Noah woke from his wine and knew what his younger son had done to him. Then said, Cursed be Canaan, servant of servants. He shall be to his brethren. He said, Blessed be the Lord, the God of Shem, and may Canaan be his servant.
He cursed Ham's son.
He cursed Ham's son, and now Canaan is the servant of Shem.
And the other guy, no? Yeah, and Japheth. Shem and Japheth.
Blessed be the Lord, the God of Shem, and may Canaan be his servant. May God enlarge Japheth, and may he dwell in the tents of Shem, and may Canaan be his servant. When Noah lived, okay. Chapter 10.
Here it talks about not eating meat that still has blood in it.
We're chapter 10?
No, 9. You just read it.
Okay, yeah. I've seen that.
You must never eat any meat that still has the lifeblood in it. That's where I guess it tells us to not eat blood.
Well, does it say to who, though? Where does it say that? What verse are you on?
4.
4. But you shall not, okay, so every living thing that lives shall be food for you. I have given you all things, even as the green herbs. But you shall not eat flesh with its life, that is, its blood. It's weird, cause like he's saying this to him, right? He's saying this to Noah.
Mm-hmm.
Is this, from what we read, from what we are reading now, not knowing what anything else says in the Bible, but from what we are reading now, would you receive that as, oh, we shouldn't eat blood?
Well, because he's saying that to Noah,
Yeah.
but Noah is supposed to repopulate the earth, so he's supposed to share that, kind of knowledge with everyone else. Like, hey, like, we don't do this. That's how I see it.
That's
like,
how you see it, yeah.
He's telling Noah, like, you're not supposed to do this, but they have to repopulate the earth. Like, they're, like, back to, the beginning.
Yeah. So, yeah. Okay, that's a good way to put it. If Noah can do it, we can do it. All right. Nations descended from
Okay,
Noah.
chapter 10. This is the account of the families of Shem, Ham, and Japheth, the three sons of Noah. Many children were born to them after the great flood, descendants of Japheth. The descendants of Japheth were Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javan, Tubal, Meshech, and Tiras. Descendants of Gomer were Ashkenaz, Riphath, and Togarmah. The descendants of Javan were Elisha, Tarshish, Kittim, and Rodanim.
Rodanim. It says here, Dodanim.
10:4. As in some Hebrew manuscriptures, some read Dodamin. Mine says Rodamin.
Okay.
Their descendants became the seafaring peoples that spread out to various lands, each identified as its own language, clan, and national identity. Descendants of Ham.
Cush. Or Cush.
Descendants of Ham. The descendants of Ham were Cush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan. The descendants of Cush were Seba, Havilah, Sabta, Ramah, and Sabteca. The descendants of Ramah were Sheba and Denan. Cush was also the ancestor of Nimrod, who was the first heroic warrior on earth. Since he was the greatest hunter in the world, his name became proverbial. People would say, this man is like Nimrod, the greatest hunter in the world. He built his kingdom in the land of Babylonia, with the cities of Babylon, Erech, Akkad, and Calneh. From there, he expanded his territory to Assyria, building the cities of Nineveh, Rehoboth, Ir-Kala, and Rezin. The great city located between Nineveh and Kala. Mizraim was the ancestor of the Ludites, Anamites, Lehabites, Nathuhites, Parthusites, Casluhites, and the Caphtorites, from whom the Philistines came. Canaan's oldest son was Sidon, the ancestor of the Sidonians. Canaan was also the ancestor of the Hittites.
Is Canaan the son of Shem?
Of Ham.
Canaan's the son of Ham. This is the same Canaan.
Yes. We're under descendants of Ham right now.
We're under the descendants of Ham right now.
Yes.
Nation descendants from Ham. Okay.
Canaan was also the ancestor of the Jebusites, Amorites, Girgashites, Havites, Arkites, Sinites, Arvadites, Zamarites, and Hamathites. The Canaanite clans eventually spread out, and the territory of Canaan extended from Sidon in the north to Gerar and Gaza in the south, and east as far as Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, and Zeboim near Lasha. These were the descendants of Ham, identified by clan language, territory, and national identity. Okay. Descendants of Shem. Sons were also born to Shem, the older brother of Japheth. Shem was the ancestor of all the descendants of Eber. Descendants of Shem were Elam, Ashur, Arphaxad, Lud, and Aram. The descendants of Aram were Uz, Hul, Gether, and Mash. Arphaxad was the father of Shelah, and Shelah was the father of Eber. Eber had two sons. The first was named Peleg, which means division, for during his lifetime, the people of the world were divided into different language groups. His brother's name was Joktan. Joktan was the ancestor of Almodad, Sheleth, Hazarmaveth, Jera, Hadoram, Izal, Kilal, Obal, Abimael, Sheba, Ohir, Havilah, and Jobab. All these were descendants of Joktan. The territory they occupied extended from Mesha all the way to Sephar in the eastern mountains. These were the descendants of Shem, identified by clan, language, territory, and national identity. Conclusion. These were the clans that descended from Noah's sons, arranged by nation according to their lines of descent. All the nations of the earth descended from these clans after the great flood.
Whoa.
That was a lot of names that I can't even remember.
Yeah, I know, like, I feel like I gotta remember it, but...
No.
Because what if they have significance as we read on?
No, some of them do. Like, hold
like
on.
Who?
Gomorrah, that's a city that is going to come up again. Sodom and Gomorrah, that's going to come up.
Where do you see that?
10:19.
And the border of the Canaanites was from Sidon. As you go toward Gerar, as far as Gaza, then as you go towards Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, and Zeboim, as far as Lasha. Gomorrah. Who's Gomorrah?
It's a city. I don't know where, what happened, but I know in Spanish.
So here it's not saying that Gomorrah is somebody, it's saying that it's somewhere.
No, as east as far as Sodom, Gomorrah, this is a place. It's talking about territory of Canaan extended from these places. And then another one that's Babylon, that's going to come up again. Right?
Descendants and whose sons and daughters went to Babylon?
This was Ham. This is all Ham. This is Cush. Descendants of Cush were Seba, Havilah, Sabta, Ramah, and Sabteka.
Where's this?
The 10:9 says he was the greatest hunter in the world. His name became proverbial. People would say, this man is like Nimrod, the greatest hunter in the world. He built his kingdom in the land of Babylonia. So,
Okay.
Cush. And then we're going into Tower of Babel. Babel.
Tower of Babel. Did it fall?
Yeah, it's just that one story, you know?
Yeah.
Because then it goes into Abram.
Okay. Let's read the Tower of Babel. The Tower of Babel, chapter 11, in the book of Genesis. Now the whole earth had one language and one speech. And it came to pass as they journeyed from the east, and they found the plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. Then they said to one another, "Come, let us make bricks and bake them thoroughly." They had bricks for stone, and they had asphalt for mortar. And they said, "Come, let us build ourselves a city and a tower whose top is in the heavens. Let us make a name for ourselves, lest we be scattered abroad over the face of the whole earth." But the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the sons of men had built. And the Lord said, "Indeed, the people are one, and they all have one language, and this is what they begin to do. Now nothing that they propose to do will be withheld from them. Come, let us go down, and there let us go down and there confuse their language, and they may not understand one another's speech." So the Lord scattered them abroad from there over the face of the earth, and they ceased building the city. Therefore its name is called Babel, because the Lord confused the language of all the earth, and from there the Lord scattered them abroad over the face of all the earth. Wait, so why did he do that?
Why did he?
Why did God do that?
Because the people wanted to create a tower that was so tall that will reach God.
But the Lord came down to see the city. Okay. And God didn't want to do that, even though it's like highly unlikely impossible that they do that?
Yeah, no.
Okay. Okay. So that was the story of that.
That's it?
Yeah.
No. But there's more.
Yeah. Okay. So here
Like at least
in this
read
book
from
it was
12.
Shem's descendants. This is a genealogy of Shem. Shem was 100 years old and begot Arphaxad 2 years after the flood. After he begot Arphaxad, Shem lived 500 years and begot sons and daughters. Arphaxad lived 35 years and begot Salah. And after he begot Salah, Arphaxad lived for 403 years and begot sons and daughters. Salah lived 30 years and begot Eber. After he begot Eber, Salah lived 403 years and begot sons and daughters. Eber lived 34 years and begot Peleg. After he begot Peleg, Eber lived 430 years and begot sons and daughters. Peleg lived 30 years and begot Ru. And he begot Ru. After he begot Ru, Peleg lived 209 years and begot sons and daughters. Ru lived 32 years and begot Serug. After he begot Serug, Ru lived 207 years and begot sons and daughters. Serug lived 30 years and begot Nahor. After he begot Nahor, Serug lived 200 years and begot sons and daughters. Nahor lived 29 years and begot Terah. And he begot Terah, Nahor. After he begot Terah, Nahor lived 119 years and begot sons and daughters. Now Terah lived 70 years and begot Abram, Nahor, and Haran. So Terah lived 70 years and begot Abram, Nahor, and Haran. Terah's descendants. This is the genealogy of Terah. Terah begot Abram, Nahor, and Haran. Haran begot Lot.
Lot's important. Who's Lot again?
Lot.
Lot.
And Haran died before his father Terah in his native land in Ur of the Chaldeans. And Abram and Nahor took wives. The name of Abram's wife was Sarai,
Oh, Sarai.
Sarai, and the name of Nahor's wife, Milcah, the daughter of Haran, the father of Milcah, and the father of Iscah. I'm confused, but Sarai was barren; she had no child.
You know the story.
Sarai was the wife of Abram, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Terah took his son Abram and his grandson Lot. Wait, but Abram's son is not Lot, right?
No. Abram.
Is the brother.
No, what? No, Abram. Oh, Abram and Lot.
Okay, so Abram, Nahor, and Haran. Haran begot Lot. Haran was the nephew of Abram.
Yes, nephew. Lot was the nephew of Abram.
Sorry, Lot was the nephew of Abram. So, but Sarai was barren; she had no child. And Terah took his son Abram and his grandson Lot, the son of Haran. I could have just kept reading, and I would have found out. And his father and his daughter-in-law Sarai, his son's Abram's wife, and they went out with them from Ur of the Chaldeans to go to the land of Canaan. And they came to Haran and dwelt there. So the days of Terah were 205 years, and Terah died in Haran. Haran is
Abram's brother.
yes, but it's also a place now, no?
Or they stopped at Haran and settled there,
Yeah.
I guess. Okay, Abram and Sarai.
It's Aram and Sarai.
In Spanish, yes, but we're talking in English. Abram and Sarai, they were married. Sarai was infertile; she couldn't have kids. So you know who Abram's kid is. That's soon to come.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I forget, man.
Isn't it Isaac? Isaac? Remember he has to like sacrifice him, whatever.
Yeah.
I think it's Isaac. I think it's Isaac.
Yeah. Okay. So wait.
That was very confusing.
Yeah. No, I get it now. Abram.
Abram, which later turned into Abraham.
Yeah. Okay. There you
Yes.
go. I was wondering. I'm like, why is it Abram? Like, I want to say Abraham so bad.
But he's not Abraham yet.
Okay. So that's it.
Yes.
That's what we know so far. Kind of want to keep reading. Should we keep reading one more chapter?
Okay. So chapter 12, we're learning about Abram now.
Abram.
The call of Abram.
Promises to Abram.
The Lord had said to Abram, "Leave your native country, your relatives, and your father's family, and go to the land that I will show you. I will make you into a great nation. I will bless you and make you famous, and you will be a blessing to others. I will bless those who bless you and curse those who treat you with contempt. All the families on earth will be blessed through you." That was his call. So Abraham departed as the Lord had instructed, and Lot went with him.
Lot.
His brother. No, his nephew.
No, his nephew.
His nephew. Abram was 75 years old when he left Haran. He took his wife Sarai, his nephew Lot, and all his wealth, his livestock, and all the people he had taken into his household at Haran, and headed for the land of Canaan. Canaan is also a land.
Yeah.
When they arrived in Canaan, Abram traveled through the land as far as Shechem. There he set up camp beside the oak of Moreh. At the time, the area was inhabited by Canaanites. Then the Lord appeared to Abram and said, I will give this land to your descendants. And Abram built an altar there and dedicated it to the Lord who had appeared to him. After that, Abram traveled south and set up camp in the hill country, with Bethel to the west and Ai to the east. There he built another altar and dedicated it to the Lord, and he worshipped the Lord. Then Abram continued traveling south by stages toward the Negev. Any questions?
Yeah, so where did they end up?
In Negev. Then Abram continued traveling south by stages toward the Negev.
Well, that's not where they ended up. They're walking
traveling
towards
there.
Okay, well, the verse 10, in my book, it shows Abram in Egypt.
Abram
Abraham
and Sarai in Egypt. At that time, a severe famine struck the land of Canaan, forcing Abram to go down to Egypt, where he lived as a foreigner. As he was approaching the border of Egypt, Abram said to his wife Sarai, Look, you are a very beautiful woman. When the Egyptians see you, they will say, This is his wife. Let's kill him, then we can have her. So please tell them you are my sister. Then they will spare my life and treat me well because of their interest in you. Smart guy. And sure enough, when Abram arrived in Egypt, everyone noticed Sarai's beauty. When the palace officials saw her, they sang her praises to Pharaoh, their king, and Sarai was taken into his palace. Then Pharaoh gave Abram many gifts because of her: sheep, goats, cattle, male and female donkeys, male and female servants, and camels. But the Lord sent terrible plagues upon Pharaoh and his household because of Sarai, Abram's wife. So Pharaoh summoned Abram and accused him sharply. What have you done to me? He demanded. Why didn't you tell me she was your wife? Why did you say she is my sister and allow me to take her as my wife? Now then, here is your wife. Take her and get out of here. Pharaoh ordered some of his men to escort them, and he sent Abram out of the country, along with his wife and all his possessions.
So he blessed them with possessions, and then he kicked them out.
Well, he gave him a bunch of stuff to get Sarai, so he can make her his wife. And then after God put plagues, he cursed the Pharaoh because he was sleeping with Abram's wife.
He was sleeping? He was sleeping with her?
Well, it says, and make her my wife. That's what it means back in the day, to make someone your wife, it means that, they're sleeping. They went to sleep together.
What?
Yeah, what was that story? What was that story? When, any story where, the dad, when someone asks, the dad for their daughters, they give them their daughters and they go and they sleep with them. That's making them their wife. There isn't what's it called?
Ceremony.
A ceremony or anything like that.
You sure?
I'm pretty sure, like, even the things that we were seeing.
Okay, so
like,
that
in
can be one of our
movies.
questions. Did Sarai sleep with the Pharaoh when they were in Egypt? Did Sarai sleep with the Pharaoh in Egypt? Good question. So, but basically what happened was,
Basically, the Pharaoh took her as his wife, I guess whatever that means, and then the Lord sent plagues onto the Pharaoh
Cursed.
because
or
because she was Abraham's wife, and the Pharaoh was like, "Why'd you tell me that this was your sister?" And then I took her as my wife, and then just get out of here is what he said.
yeah,
And then they kicked him out with everything.
which means that they left with more.
Well, yeah, but I guess that was their plan. Like they had to go find food because there was famine in Canaan.
Yeah,
There was no food.
blessed. Blessed. Well, we have we have only one question today, and that is, did Sarai sleep with the Pharaoh in Egypt? Do we have any more questions?
I guess the question of Noah, like, does the blood thing refer only to Noah?
Oh yeah,
Or is
when we're reading the Bible and God is talking to somebody, for example, in this case, God is talking to Noah and he says, "Don't eat the blood. Don't eat blood from the animals." You know? Is that like a command for us too? Is that a command for people other than Noah? Kerlyn was saying that she looks at it like, well, at that time, Noah was one of the only people on earth. And from Noah, people will start to be born, right?
Yeah, you have to repopulate the earth.
He had to repopulate the earth. So
Just teach, right?
Noah was obviously going to teach people his way, that the way that God was showing him. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So the question is, when God is talking to somebody, in this case, when God asked or told Noah not to eat blood, is that our command too? Right?
Yeah, well, because we're actually not supposed to. So I guess that's why I see it as like, I guess that was also meant for us.
Yeah, but like, let's say you didn't know nothing else in the Bible. You're just reading that,
So I don't know.
right? Does it say something else about that in the Bible?
I don't know, but I know that later on, it's like God blesses so there are animals right now that where we're at, they weren't allowed to eat. Just like he said, like the clean ones and the dirty animals.
Yeah.
But then later on, he blesses those animals where we're allowed to eat, like I think like pork was one of them, shrimp or one of those kind of animals that they couldn't eat.
Yeah.
But then later on, he blesses those animals and we're allowed to eat them. But I know blood is still always like
okay.
a no. Like
Okay.
that was never blessed for us to eat.
Okay, I see.
It's like I don't know where that is, but I know that the other animals are later blessed where they're okay to eat.
I see. So that's going to be a question that we will bring up again in our next video. And we will have the answers hopefully along with the curse of the snake that we read in chapter 3 of Genesis. The meaning of the curse of the snake with the heel and the head and the feet and the head or something. The bite of the heel and the. So we will clarify that. And that is all. This is Paulo, Kerlyn, and our boy Matthias. In day 2 of the Revelation. Sorry, of the Genesis. Of the Genesis to the Revelation book session. And we will be back. Whoa, it's been an hour.
Oh my goodness.
Exactly 1 hour.
That's a long time.
Didn't even feel like it. And yeah, peace. Oh, look at that ring. Will you show your ring?